Hi, grade 10s. Welcome back to our third lesson on functions. Today, we're going to be talking about the application of the quadratic function. So we're going to look at some exam type questions. As always, please can you get started on the do now, and we'll just wait a few minutes for everybody else to join us. Okay, it's nice to see everybody again. Hello, Marisa. Hello, Ria Betswe, Katlejo. Thank you for coming, Naileti. Sinihlanhla, Ntlafatso, thank you. So nice to see you here again. Okay, so get started on the do now, and then I hope you've also got your book with you and your calculator and yeah, something to write with as well. Okay. Right, so these you should find really easy just solving for X. Anyway, I hope so. Okay. Hi, Kelebukile. Welcome back. We're just going to get started on the do now. Wait for everybody to join us, okay? Tula, for some reason, I do not have my chat. I don't know what I've done, but
I'll try to look into that. I'm not sure why you should.
okay, so
just a minute and then I'll see.
That's fine. Thank you. Or if you can just tell me what's going on the chat, or remind you it's better if I can see it. But anyway, okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, welcome Nolwazi, welcome AJ. Sihle, welcome. Okay, so we're just working on the do now, and then we're going to mark it, and then we're going to get started on our lesson while we're just waiting for everybody to arrive. Okay, so another couple of minutes. Okay, so let's get started on answering these questions. All right, so instead of me, I mean, obviously I will show you the answers, but instead of me telling you the answer, is someone happy to tell us what they think the answer is, or type it into the chat? Marisa, are you happy to tell me what you got? I can't hear you, Marisa. You're on mute. Will you unmute yourself, please?
Sorry, ma'am. I'm not yet done with the equation.
You're not finished with number 1 yet. Okay, all right. Is there anybody else who is finished with number 1? Naileti, how about you? Are you finished with number 1? Oh, you are. All right, brilliant. Okay, so if you can't unmute yourself, that's just fine. All right. Nolwazi, you also finished with the first one. Good stuff. All right. Would you both be prepared to put into the chat what you got as an answer? Even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. We're just practicing. Okay, we can fix everything. So in Tlafatso, you said you got -2 as your first answer. Okay, then Nolwazi says 2, Ria Betswe says 2, Naileti says x equals 2. Okay, what did I get? Okay, I got the same answer as you guys. I also got 2 as an answer. So that's how I did this question. All right, so if you were struggling with this, what you were supposed to do was take the 4 over to the other side and change the sign. Then if you're sitting at -2 on the number line and you take away 4, you're going to end at -6. Divide both sides by -3, and therefore x is equal to 2. Okay, so I hope that that's all right. Are there any questions? No questions? Okay, all right. So now, did anybody manage to do the second question? Yes, Marisa, you said yes. Okay, lovely. So what did you get? And Nyaleti too. Lovely. Okay, are you happy to share your answers with us? What did you get x is equal to? You can type it into the chat. Okay, Kelebohile, you got -3. Okay, cool. Thank you for putting your answer in. Anybody else? Marisa, you got -6. And Kafatso, you got -10. Oh, wow. So we got lots of different answers. Okay, AJ, you got 10. Okay. All right. So lots of different answers here. Naileti, you got -2 again. All right. So thank you for all your answers, everybody. Let's see if I got the same as any of you. All right. So I got -10. Okay, well done, Nolwazi. I also got -10. Let's just double check that I'm right. Okay, so what has to happen here, grade 10s, is the first thing that we have to do is we have to remove the brackets. So we're doing that using the distributive law. So we say 3 times x gives us 3x, and 3 times -2 gives us -6. That's on the left-hand side of the equation. Oh, Zanele, Tula, I don't know if you can help Zanele. She says she can't hear us.
Okay, Zanele, I'll message you privately. Just watch for your private messages.
Okay. And then on the right-hand side, we're doing exactly the same thing, grade 10s. We're saying 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 1 is 4. Okay, is everybody happy with that? So that's the distributive law. We're removing the brackets, and now we have 2 terms on the left and 2 terms on the right. What we want to do is we want to collect like terms. So we want all our x terms together on one side and all our numbers together on the other side, right? So if I decide that I'm going to collect my x's on the left, 3x is staying on the left. So if it's the same idea as this. Imagine if you are at high school and you stay at your high school. You're going to keep the same school uniform, right? So it's the same story with 3x. 3x is on the left. Cool, I'm glad you can hear us, Daniela. 3x is on the left. It's positive on the left. So it's going to keep its sign because it's staying on the left. 4x, however, was positive on the right. But now when we move it over to the left-hand side, we need to change its sign. Okay, so that's why we end up with 3x minus 4x. Okay, because my 4x changed sides from the right side to the left-hand side. And exactly the same thing happens with the signs with 4 and 6. 4 stays on the right, so it keeps its positive sign. 6 comes over to the right-hand side, so it changes its sign and it becomes a 6. Okay, so what we're really doing is we're subtracting 4x from both sides and we're adding 6 to both sides. When we do that, we've collected like terms. Okay, so 3x minus 4x gives us minus 1x. 4 plus 6 gives us 10. We're not allowed to leave our answer like that. We have to write our variables with a positive 1 in front. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. And then that means that x would be equal to negative 10. Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions? Are we all good? If you feel that you understand what was going on, can you give me a thumbs up in the chat? Thank you, Seethley. Thank you, AJ. Thank you, Nileti. Oh, no, Nileti. Yes, thank you. Ria Betswe, thank you. Nolwazi, thank you. Okay. Any other questions from there? Is that fine? Okay. Now, do you remember this question from last week? Right. This wasn't a very nice question for us, and we really struggled with it. So what I decided to do is I decided that we should do this question again, all right? Because there were a lot of people who ended last time not understanding what was going on. But I thought there might be people who understood this and then didn't want to do it again. So in order to be able to help everybody, what I've done is I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. I hope you guys can still see this. I've made a brand new question, okay? So for right now, okay, you have 2 options, okay? Either you didn't understand what was going on last week and you want me to go through these questions again, or you understood what was going on last week, you felt confident, and you think that you can do the questions on the left-hand side. Is that clear to everybody? Can you give me a thumbs up? Or any kind of reaction? Okay. Confused. Can you repeat what you said? I certainly can. Okay, no problem. All right. Anyone who's feeling confident, I want you to try the question on the left. That's the one over here where you've been given f of x equals ax squared plus q and g of x equals bx squared plus p. So that's this question over here. I'm going to put a red star next to it. Okay. If you are feeling confident and you were able to do last week's lesson, this is just a little bit of extra practice. Some of you, however, really struggled with last week's work, and that's why I want to do the questions again. All right, that's this here on the right-hand side. Okay, so in other words, I'm going to put a pink star over here. We're going to do this again. All right. You haven't been taught that yet at school. Okay, so if this is difficult for you to understand, it's okay. All right, you just do the best that you can to follow along. All right. That's okay, Kaklejo, no problem. Okay, it doesn't matter. All right, we just do the best that you can. All right, no worries. And I'll try my very best to explain everything to you. Okay, so now I want to know, all right, who's doing red? If you're going to do the red question, can you put the word red in the box, in the chat box? And if you're going to do the pink question with me, put the word pink in the box. Okay, that's fine. Get started. Okay, Marisa, no problem. You can do this, the pink one with me, no problem. Pink, Nolwazi, no problem. Pink, pink, pink. Zayon, pink, pink, pink. Okay, perfect. All right, pink. Okay, brilliant. All right, so that gives me, okay, Katlejo, try and do the red. If it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. Okay, I just didn't want anybody to go away from these lessons feeling as though they didn't know what was going on and they weren't sure what to do. Okay, all right. So from last week, do you recall that what we were trying to do is we were trying to find the equation of the function, right? So this function over here, let's just get the pen going. This function over here, don't worry about the way in which this is written. It means exactly the same as a phi right, g of x. Okay, so it equals ax squared plus p. And what they want us to do is they want us to work out the value of a and the value of p. All right, so in order to be able to solve the equation, we have to be able to work out what the values of a and p are. Now, in order to be able to do that, you have to understand what these letters represent. And luckily for us, what they represent never changes. Okay, so they always mean the same thing. All right, otherwise it would be really confusing, wouldn't it? Can anybody remember from our very first lesson together what the P means? What does the letter P mean? What does it represent on the picture? You can type it in the chat, or you can unmute your mic. It's up to you. Nizol, the Y-intercept. Excellent. Yes, absolutely. It's your Y-intercept. All right. So Nizol, if you look at the picture, all right, G of X is the one that's the blue graph. Okay, so we're looking at the blue graph. Can anybody tell me what is the value of Y at the Y-intercept? Sihle, do you know? Do you know what the value of Y is at the Y-intercept for the blue graph? You can unmute your mic, Sihle, or you can type it into the chat. If you don't know, that's also fine. Just say so. You don't know. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem. All right. Let's see if there's somebody else. Naileti, do you know what the value of P is in the blue graph, G of X?
Miss, I think it's 0 is to -9.
Excellent. Okay, so you're looking at the right place. Okay, excellent. Oh, and Zanele, you typed in there -9. Well done. Okay, so this P over here, you need to write this down grade 10 so that you can learn it. Okay, you have to learn it. This number on its own always represents the Y value at the Y-intercept. So quite right, Zanele, it's going to be -9. Katlejo, you've got a question. You can unmute or you can type in the chat. It's up to you. Oh, it was a mistake. Okay, all right, never mind. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do, if we know the value of Y at the Y-intercept, is we want to put that into our equation. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to say that the value of P is -9. Okay, and it comes from this -9 over here. So now I'm going to substitute. G of X is equal to, I don't know what A is, but I do know that P is equal to -9. So that's your first step. Okay, now our job is to then work out the value of A. Now, we can't solve for A. See there, there's only one y-intercept. Okay, so there's only one place where the graph cuts the y-axis. So here, if you follow the blue line from up here where this little red circle is, and you go all the way down the blue line, okay, when you get here, that's an x-intercept. Okay, and then if you continue to follow the blue line over here, that is its y-intercept over there. Okay, so the y-intercept is just -9, not -9 to +9. Does that make sense, Sihle? To pleasure. Right, so now, if we want to solve anything in maths grade 10s and we have unknown letters, all right, we can only have one unknown letter in our equation. We can't have more than one unknown letter. Otherwise, it's not possible for us to work that out. So whenever they give you something that has y and x in it, and you're working with a function, the x and the y are always a pair of coordinates of a point that lies on the line. Okay, so we've already used this point, so we can't use it again. So now we're looking for another point that lies on the line, okay? And they happen to have given us one. Can anybody tell me what this other point is? What's the x coordinate of this other point? Kelebogile, do you know what's the x coordinate of that other point? The other point that lies on the line? 7, okay, but 7, well done, you're looking at the right point, but 7 is the, Zanele says 4, okay. Now, the 4, Nosisa says 4, good. Okay, so now, just a couple of things to always remember. In maths, thankfully, there are lots of rules, okay, so things are always going to be done in the same way. So when we write a pair of coordinates, like that, 4 and 7. So quite right that you were looking at this point. We always do this, grade 10s. We always write the x coordinate first. And then we write the y coordinate afterwards. Always, always, always. So any pair of coordinates that is ever given to you in any kind of maths, okay, if it's a pair of coordinates on the Cartesian plane, it's always the x first and then the y. So yes, Sanele and Narcisa, you were quite right. The x coordinate at this other point is 4. So what they are telling us to do is that we want to replace this x over here with this 4. And at the same time, so let's get a different color. We want to replace this y over here with that 7. So that we only have one unknown, the a that we're trying to work out. So we are going to write 7 equals a, substitute in brackets. Okay, inside the bracket we need to put the x, in other words, the 4. Good, good, well done. And then we've got to square that, and then we've got to take away 9. Okay, now we have to solve for a. So let me have a look who I haven't called on yet this lesson. Ria Betswe, if I may call on you, and if you don't know, that's fine, it's not a problem, but do you know what we need to do with the a and the 4 that's in brackets and the square? Do you know how to rewrite that?
Ma'am, I'm not sure. Are we supposed to bring the a to the other side?
You can if you want to, Ria Betsy, but you don't have to do that straight away. The most important thing for you to do is to know what you need to multiply the a with. Do you know what you need to multiply the a with?
With the 4 and the 2.
And the
Okay, so with the 4 and the 2, Rebecca, I'm just going to keep you just for one more second. With the 4 and the little 2, what's that number going to be?
it's going to become 16.
Hey, well done. So nice. Excellent. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So in other words, Rebecca, what I'd have here and everybody else is I'd have 7 equals. Rebecca says 4 squared is 16. So 4 times 4, which is perfect, equals 16a minus, almost wrote plus, but it's minus 9. Okay, well done. Perfect. Now, what do we want to do? Okay, so I'm going to pick on somebody else. Intlafatso was busy doing red, so I won't pick on you. Nolwazi, can I pick on you? What would we do now? You can either unmute your mic or type something. It's your choice is yours. What do you think we should do now, Nolwazi? Nolwazi, are you there? Can you hear me? Even if you don't know, you can just say you don't know. It's not a problem. Okay, let's have a look. Oh, you're having trouble with your mic. Okay, all right, not a problem. Is there somebody else? So I tried to pick on Nolwazi without any success. Who else can I pick on? Is there somebody who else can tell me what, well, somebody else who can tell me what it is that you think I should do now? Naileti, go for it.
I think you should take the 16a and say 16a equals to negative 9 minus 7.
So you think I should equals to negative 9 minus 7. Okay, but if I take the negative 9 over to the other side, Naileti, will it still be negative 9?
No,
Okay, so what's it going to be?
positive 9.
Positive 9. Good, excellent. Okay, Naileti, you're doing so well. I want you to help me finish this. Okay, so now I'm going to add 7 and 9 together. And what am I going to get, Naileti?
16.
I'm going to get 16. Excellent. Well done. And now I'm going to get 16A on that side. All right. And then do you remember, Naileti, last question, and then I promise I won't pester you anymore after that. Do you remember what we need to divide by?
I'm going to divide both by 16.
We're going to divide both side by 16. And the reason we're dividing both by 16 is because we've got a 16 in front of the A. Okay, so we always divide by what is in front of the A. Okay, grade 10s, both sides. All right, so we divide both sides by 16, and that means that A has to be equal to 1. Okay. What do you think? Is that a thumbs up? Are there any questions? Okay, Ria Betswe, fine, good, thank you. Anybody else? So Ria Betswe has given me 3 thumbs ups. Anybody else got a question or something you want to say? Okay, Snare, no problem. No, was he feeling a little bit better about it? Okay, those of you that haven't done this at school, I can understand that this would be Kelebohile, okay, Marisa, fine. Okay, are you sure there's no questions, grade 10s? I don't mind explaining anything again or going through it. It's not a problem. Okay, so now, there were a couple of people, just looking back in our chat, who said they were going to try the red question. Most of you wanted to do pink with me, but Intlafatso, you said in the beginning that you wanted to try the red question. We can if you want to. I just wanted to see if Inhlafatso was able to do the one on the left. We can certainly go through part B. Riebetswe. Okay, Inhlafatso, you said 3x squared minus 8. Oh, wow. Okay, Inhlafatso, that's excellent. Did you manage to do the other one? So you managed to do the black one. Inhlafatso, did you manage to do the blue one? Almost. Maybe you just typed something a little bit wrong, Inhlafatso, because that graph, the blue graph, is frowning. It's sad. Okay, so it has to be minus 2x squared plus 5. Did you get minus 2? You just typed 2 by mistake?
No, ma'am, I got positive 2.
You got positive 2. Okay, so what we're going to do, all right, so what I'd like to have happen here, all right, is just to give Inhlafatso a chance, right? We have gone through and yes, Nosisa, we're only looking for the A value because that's all they wanted. So in this question over here, all right, let me just get a pen. So in this one over here, okay, so in other words, h of x, the black graph, is equal to bx squared plus q. What I'm going to do is I'm going to explain why it's negative 2 to Inhlafatso, and then I'm going to come back to the pink one, okay? And then somebody is going to need to tell me what the value of q is, first of all, and then what the value of b is, all right? So you're going to find q exactly how we found p, and you're going to find b exactly how we found A. All right, so everybody that was following me through the question GBX that I've just done, you're going to try and work out Q and B. All right, Inhlafatso, you're going to listen to me for 2 seconds, and I'm going to explain to you why it had to be negative 2. Is that okay, everybody? Okay, so just ask if you've got any questions. Okay, so Inhlafatso, yes, okay, cool, Nolwazi. Okay, so Inhlafatso, we were talking about the blue one. Okay, all right. So now you said, so let me just write in blue here so that it matches, right? You said that y is equal to, I can't remember what, oh, it was called b. So bx squared plus 5, right? And then you looked over here and you saw that 1 and 3 is a point that lies on the line. So that means, Inhlafatso, that we would have put the 3 as our y. And here, in terms of the x, we would have put 1 squared plus 5. Okay, so that means that we've got which one is the red one, Marisa? Do you want me to move it over to the left-hand side? Okay, let's see what we can do here. Oopsie. Is that better? Okay, hopefully that's all right. Okay, so Inhlafatso, this is where we were, right? So we were saying, I'll just check that the pen is blue. Okay, so now we've got 3 equals 1 squared means 1 times 1. So 1 times 1 is 1 times b gives us 1b plus 5. So now if I leave b on the right-hand side, I'm going to take plus 5 over to the other side. If it's plus 5 on the right, it must be minus 5 on the left. So it's going to be 3 minus 5 on the left. And therefore, Intlofatso B has to be equal to negative 2. Okay, if I start at 3 on the number line and I take away 5, then I have to get negative 2. Okay, does that make sense, Intlofatso?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, pleasure. Okay, so now everybody else, we are working on the black graph. Okay, everybody should be able to see the black graph. That's this one over here. Okay, h of x, this graph here, the black one. Okay, that one there. And by now, we should all have been able to work out what the value of Q is while I was explaining to Intlofatso. Okay, so quickly into the chat. I'd like you to tell me what you got Q is equal to. Well done, Riabetswe, perfect. Yes, Nolwazi. Yes, Nizal. Yes, lovely Zanele. Good, Marisa. Good, 23. Perfect. Right? So hopefully every single person did, whoopsie. Let me do this. Sorry, that black line I just drew right now. Let's just get rid of it. Come on. There we go. Okay, so everybody had Q equals 23. Lovely. Okay, so now, Zanele, can you tell me what you did with that 23? Where did you put it? What did you write next? Even if you don't know, Zanele, you can tell me you don't know. What did you do with your 23? Where did it go?
Ma'am, I substituted the value of Q as 23. And
Okay.
then I also substituted.
Good. Keep going, Zanele, you're perfect. Did we lose you, Zanele? Because I can't, I don't know, I can't. Oh, there we are. Keep going. You're doing so well.
And then I substituted the value of Y as negative 7. And then I said negative 7 is equal to B. And then I substituted the value of X is negative 4 and to the power of 2 plus that 23. And then negative 7 is equal to 16B plus 23. And then I added I minus.
It's okay. You're doing really well. You're doing really well. I don't know what you were going to say, Zanele, but you were perfect. You were on track. Now, the only thing that I just had written a little bit differently from you, and that's because last time when we did this question last week, there was another point, and it was the point 4 and minus 7. So that is actually a point on the line. But I just left it just to try and make things a little bit simpler for everybody. I had left it with just 4 and 7. So 4 and 7, grade 10s, is a point on the black and the blue line. All right, so we can use it for both. Right, so this point over here is on the black line and it's on the blue line. All right, so if you substituted the 23 in there in the place of the Q, that was correct. Then you were supposed to put the 4 in the place of the X and 7 in the place of the Y. And then you were supposed to work out what the value of B was. So Nozol says, okay, you got B is equal to -1. Okay, what did other people get? Put it in the chat. What did you get as the answer for B? Kelebogile got -1. Okay. Nowazi got -1. Okay. Do you think, perfect, Marisa, do you think that getting a minus in this case is right? Were we expecting a minus as an answer? Or would we look at that minus and say, can't be right? What do you think? Is the minus correct? Yes, it is, Nazol. Good. 100%. Because, quite right, Norwazi. Yeah, because the graph is, yes, we have a sad face. How did we get -1? I'm going to show you right now, Katlejo. Okay, but quite right. We have a sad graph. So can you see when we're doing maths, we've got to have the knowledge and understanding so that we work towards something that makes sense with what we know is true. Okay, so in other words, if we worked out the value of B and it was positive, we've got to be good enough at maths to be able to look at the graph and say there's no ways that's true. B cannot be positive because I've been given a sad face graph. Okay, so now, Katlejo, how did we get the -1? All right, so have a look over here. I'm going to move this pink block out of the way, right? What have I done, Katlejo, when I went from this line over here? Let me just get a pen. When I went from this line over here to this line where I'm putting the star now, what did I do? How did I go from this line to that one? Katlejo, do you know? Even if you don't know, it's fine, Katlejo. I forgot. Okay. All right. That's fine. That's not a problem. So I've left out one step here, Katlejo. And the step that I left out was this. This is a +23 on the right. So, okay, no problem. Don't worry. So when it goes over to the other side, is it still going to be +23 on the left-hand side as well? No. Okay, it's not. So in other words, you're going to end up with 7. That's it. You put it in your calculator, quite right. You do see clear. Excellent. You say 7 minus 23. Excellent. All right, perfect. And that's where you get B. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. And that's where you would get sorry, I'm talking nonsense here. Okay, so you would end up with 7 minus 23 is equal to 16B. Then you would end up with -16 on your calculator equals 16B. And then again, we've always got to divide by the number in front of the letter. So we're going to divide by +16, and -16 divided by +16 means that B will be equal to -1. Okay, as you all had told me. All right, so that was really, really well done. Okay, so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you an opportunity to have a look at an exam type question. Right, so I'm hoping everything is okay with that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the board up. Okay, so let me just do this and then I'll make it bigger again. And judging by our time, this might also have to be our exit ticket, but we'll just play it by ear and see how things go. Okay, so hopefully that is big enough for everybody to see. Okay, now these questions all relate back to things that we had spoken about in the first and the second lessons. Although question 5.5 isn't something that we've actually spoken about before, but that doesn't matter. We can certainly talk about it when we get to it, right? So if there's anybody who's feeling really confident, you are welcome to go ahead and go and answer these questions and do as much as you can, and we'll talk about what the answers are. But is there anybody who's feeling a little bit apprehensive and wants a bit of help? Theoretically, we should all be able to answer question 5.1, question 5.2, and question 5.3. Do you feel confident to try that on your own? Can you give me a thumbs up if you are? Okay, Nolwazi, that's fine. Off you go. Katlejo, you don't think so. That's fine. You said you only started this today, not a problem. So I can appreciate why this would be difficult for you. Okay, so all the thumbs ups, you get cracking on this question, okay? Well, on these questions. All right. Snehlanhla, good. Okay. Everybody else, Naileti, fine. Okay, go for it. So you guys try and do as much as you possibly can before the end of the lesson. And Katlejo, I'm going to try and help you to get through this a little bit. The rest of you, you don't have to listen to me talking if you don't want to. But of course, if you've got a question, please just put it in the chat or raise your hand or anything like that, and I'll help you. Okay, but try and do this on your own. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to read the information, Katlejo. All right. So they've told us that we've got two graphs. One graph called G of X and another graph called F of X. All right. So G of X is what sort of function? It's got a name. Do you know what that is, Katlejo? So this function here, Katlejo, everybody else is doing the questions, unless you've got something you wanted to ask me. No, you don't know. Okay, all right. So you've only just started this. So that's, I can appreciate why this would be difficult. So this arch that's on the diagram called G, okay, is, and this is its equation over here. This is called a parabola. Okay, so it's one of the functions that you're going to study in grade 10, and parabolas always make these arch shapes. So either they can be sad-faced, right, like this one is, right, or Katlejo, they can be happy-faced. So it's going to be an arch, either an arch that's sad, or it can be an arch that's happy, right? When we talk about the range, right? So hopefully everybody's already answered this question. What we can see here, Katlejo, is imagine if you were standing over here and you were walking up this hill, right? And now you're walking. What's happening as you, well, to these numbers on the y-axis? What's happening to these numbers on the y-axis as you were walking in this direction? Do they get bigger or do they get smaller? You could put that into the chat, Katlejo. Are the y numbers going to get bigger or are they going to get smaller as we go up here? Do you know, Katlejo? Smaller? No, unfortunately not. So on your number line, Katlejo, okay, when you want to go, it's kind of like being in a building, right? So if this is the top of the building, right, if you wanted to go down, then that would be in that direction, right? When we move in this direction on the Cartesian plane, so the opposite direction, then y is getting bigger. Right. So what happens here is that we walk all the way to the very top of the arch. We can't go any further. We can't climb any further than the top of the hill. What is the value of y at the top of the arch? Do you know, Katlejo? The value of y up here? Okay, so when you got to this point, Yes, that's right. It's 8. Okay, quite right. It's 8. So that means that as far as our range is concerned, our range is our set of y values, all right? So up and down, right? So it comes all the way from negative infinity is somewhere down there, and it keeps going all the way down to negative infinity on this side as well. And the y numbers, the outputs keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until they get to 8. They can't get any bigger than that, and then they start getting smaller again. Okay, so hopefully, if you were answering this question, you said that the range would have been y is smaller than or equal to 8. I'm hoping everybody would have done that by now. So me telling Katlego what the answer is hasn't interfered with you. Now, the other thing that you will find difficult here, Katlego, is working out the value of r. All right, let's just see. Did everybody else get the same answer in 5.1 as me? Don't know if we're going to be able to do all of these questions. We're running out of time now. Yes. Okay, Sihle, that's great. Okay, has anybody managed to do question 5.2? And then Katlego, I can explain to you as we go. Has anybody written down the x coordinate at r? You can pop it into the chat if you've got an answer. Well done, Riabetswe. Good. Okay. Intlefatso, okay. So Intlefatso and Nolwazi, at S, x is equal to 2, right? So remember, parabolas are symmetrical about the y-axis. Quite right, Marisa, it's -2, okay? So I've written all over this particular function, but yes, let me just hang on a second. Let's choose pink. Okay, so this point over here at R and this point over here at S are mirror images of one another. So quite right, okay, if this is 2 and 0 at R, the coordinates would be -2 and 0. And again there, can you see how the x is always written first and the y is always written second? So quite right, at R, x is equal to -2. Okay. Parabolas are symmetrical. Okay, so in other words, this line over here, the y-axis, is cutting, or very badly drawn by me, is cutting the parabola in half. All right, so this side over here is a mirror image of that side over there. Okay, so if I'm going to mirror this point over the y-axis, it's got to be at -2 and 0. We could also calculate it by calculating an x-intercept, but here it just simply told us to write it down. So we just want to write down the answer. Okay. I chose this question because can you see here, grade 10s, they asked us to calculate the values of A and Q, and that's exactly what we were trying to do in the previous lesson. So while I've been talking to Katlego, I'm wondering, has anybody been able to do that? Has anybody been able to work out the value of A and Q? And can you share that with us? You can pop it into the chat or you can unmute your mic. Anybody been able to work out A or Q yet? Okay, so Nazol, you've said that, hang on a second. Sorry, I clicked on something funny there. Nazol, you said that A was equal to -2 and Q was equal to -8. Anybody else get the same answer? So Marisa, you said Q is 8, A is -2. Nolwazi, you said exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at this. You're absolutely right. From what I can recall, what you were supposed to do, okay, is exactly what we've been practicing. Okay, so let's just get rid of this over here, and then we can write. Okay, so the others, I hope you're going to be able to follow this. Okay, so we looked at the picture and we said g of x, which is the same as y, is equal to ax squared. And then we could see here that the y-intercept was +8. Okay, so in the place of q goes the y value at the y-intercept. So you said +8. Excellent, right? So now we have used that point. We can't use it again. So now we're looking for another point that lies on the line, right? As it turns out, another point that lies on the line could be this one over here. Or if you wanted to, you could use that one over there. Okay, but let's say we decide we want to use this one over here. At S, the value of x is 2. At S, the value of y is 0. Okay, so now when we come and we sub in, we're going to make g of x, which is y, equal to 0. In place of x, we're going to put 2, and we're going to square it, and then we're going to +8. Okay, so in our next line, 0 would be equal to 2 squared means 2 times 2, so that's 4a plus 8. If we have +8 on the right, we need to take it over to the left, so that would make it -8 is equal to 4a. And now those of you that told me -2 was perfect. What are we going to divide both sides by, grade 10s? We've got to divide by what's in front of the a. Okay, so we're going to divide this side by 4 and that side by 4. And that means a will be equal to -2. All right, how did that go? Anybody else? Okay, so Nolwazi, you got the same answer. Is that okay, grade 10s? Is that making sense? Are there any questions that you want to ask me? A bit. Now I understand perfectly. Oh, Riabetswe, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Marisa, I hope this is getting better. Zayan, okay, lovely. Any other comments that you want to make? Even if you didn't understand, you must tell me. I'm not going to be upset. All of this is about helping you. Okay, Nolwazi. It's a pleasure, Sihle. Okay, what I'm going to do, Nolwazi, we've got 2 minutes to go, all right? So I will quickly do question 5.4 with you. You were finding the equation of a straight line, all right? So at this point over here, the coordinates were -2 and 0. Yeah, it is, substitution is difficult, all right? I agree. It's knowing what to put where. So just very quickly then, let's just see if we can answer this question. And I don't think I'm going to have time to do that one, right? This is a straight line. F is a straight line. So when they want you to work out the equation of F, they want you to work out the gradient of the line and they want you to work out the y-intercept. You know what the y-intercept is. It's the same y-intercept as the parabola. So what we would have written over here is f of x is equal to mx plus 8. All right. Now again, all right, we want to work out what this m is. If we've got a point that lies on the line, we can substitute the point in, or we can use gradient formula, but I think I'll stay away from that for now, all right? What we can do is we can substitute in this point over here. Remember, x first, then y. So if I write 0 is equal to m times negative 2 plus 8, I would end up with 0 equals minus 2m plus 8, like so. Now what I would do is I would take the minus 2m over to the other side. It's going to become plus 2m on the left. It's equal to 8. Divide by 2, and m would be equal to 4. All right, so we're unfortunately going to have to leave it there. The equation of f of x, it would be the line f of x equals 4x plus 8. Okay, I'm sorry we ran out of time again. There's just so much for us to talk about. Anyway, I hope that that was better for everybody and that things are starting to make a bit more sense. Okay, sorry, Tula. I'm sorry. Yeah, Tula.
No. It's okay. You're actually just right on time. So it's fine. Hi everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. I was having some internet issues, but it should be resolved now. So once again, my name is Tula. I am a mentor with Watobi Maths, and I just want to quickly take you through our regular slides that we have. But first, I just want everyone, if you can just open your chat or use your emojis to just clap hands and thank Lee for us for a wonderful lesson. Just to appreciate, the patience and just the teaching. This has been awesome. And then I'm going to share my screen just now. Let's see. Just let me know, of course, if you can't see as always, and then we'll see how we help you. Okay. So this was our third lesson, and it's again on the parabola, and then we still have lesson 4 happening on, today is Tuesday, it should be on Thursday. So that's where we'll be doing the sketching of the hyperbola. So be sure to come back. It's always great seeing familiar faces again on top of the new faces. And then, but we won't be done, not by a long shot, with functions. So we still have a lot of lessons to go. But even after the functions, we still have other lessons on other topics until the end of September. So we won't be done. We'll still be preparing you for your finals at the end of the year. So be sure to keep coming back. And of course, the leaderboard. These are our superstars. These are our superstars for today. Tepo, Kanya, Balesa, Ozo, Maheriksin, Nosisa, Marisa, Sinintlantra. You guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for doing the activities that you did. Of course, we can do better than this. Previously we've had much higher numbers, and I trust that that's what's going to happen also going forward. And just to remind you guys that the people on the leaderboard are not people who are necessarily always understand maths, and everyone who's not here is just the people who are struggling with maths. No, this rewards trying. So we put people here for doing as many activities as you can. So even if you're struggling with maths, but if we see that you're trying, you're doing exercises on the app as much as you can, we're going to put you here. So don't think that because maybe you're still trying to get better with maths, you can't be here. So I hope I'll see a lot of new faces. Hope I see a lot of new faces in the next one. And of course, just to practice and reinforce the learning that already happened here, you go in the app, pick a topic, functions and relationships, and then the parabola is here. So be sure to do this, because in between the live classes, it's good to just reinforce your learning and make sure that and take quizzes to test yourself, because otherwise how else will you know that you understand everything? And that's it on my side. I don't know if Lee, you have anything to add to the learners before they leave.
Well done, everybody. That was a wonderful lesson, and I hope that things are starting to make a bit more sense. And thank you all for participating so nicely. I'm really, really enjoying these lessons together, and I hope you're benefiting as well. Okay. All right. We'll see you on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday. Goodbye. You can